These notes are on the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. So basically, what is the quadratic formula? What is it for? It's a formula that will allow us to solve any quadratic equation without factoring, without doing any work, but finding some coefficients. So first thing we'll do is look at standard form for quadratic equations, and that is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So a quadratic equation like this is just a second degree polynomial, and standard form is where you have a constant, an a term, in front of the x squared term, b is in front of the x term, and c is just the constant without any variable, and it's all equal to 0. So it's important to get your quadratic equations into this form before you start using any of these, or any of the stuff that I'm about to talk about in this lesson, the quadratic equation or formula. So first we can do an example solving a quadratic equation like we normally do with factoring. So let's look at this. X squared minus 5x minus 14 equals 0. So if we wanted to factor this, negative 14 would go in the top, negative 5 in the bottom, negative 7 and a 2 will work. Since we have a lead coefficient of 1, we can use our shortcut. So we'll have x minus 7 times x plus 2 equals 0. If we set each piece equal to 0, we could solve for x, getting x equals positive 7 and negative 2. Those are our two roots to this quadratic equation. Simple enough, but sometimes you can't factor a quadratic equation, so we have to have some other method to solve these. And what mathematicians have come up with is the quadratic equation, or quadratic formula, which is, it gives us x values. It gives us solutions to our quadratic equations. So it is the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2 times a. The a, b, and c come from the quadratic equation in standard form. They are the coefficients of the x squared term, the x, and they are the constant. So we will get the a, b, and c from your quadratic equation. This is something you have to memorize. I'll make a note right now. Must memorize. Memorize. Yeah? How about we use this on this equation, see if we come up with the same answers. We will. So, example. Oops. And we'll start off with the same thing. X squared minus 5, x minus 14 equals 0. Let's identify our A, B's, and C's. Because this is already in standard form, all we have to do now is just look for A, B, and C. A equals, and then B, and then C. So, in this case, our lead coefficient was 1. So A is 1. B is whatever is in front of the x term. Just the regular x term. So here, B is negative 5. And C is just the constant term. Up here, just the constant term. So it's negative 14. You have to include that negative. That's part of C. That's part of who C is. I don't know. So if we know A, B, and C, we can plug in to our quadratic formula and simplify. And we should have our solutions. So x equals, meaning the x values that will make this 0, that will solve or satisfy this equation. The opposite of b is 5, so the opposite of, or b is negative 5, so the opposite of negative 5 is positive 5. Plus or minus the square root of b squared, 25, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 14. All divided by 2 times 1. You can't forget dividing. So let's simplify this. 5 plus or minus the square root of 25. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 14 is positive 56. Plus 56. My refrigerator just turned on. Over 2. You guys don't care. Further simplifying, 56 plus 25 is 81. So we have 5 plus or minus the square root of 81 all over 2, which equals 5 plus or minus 9 over 2, which is the same thing as 5 plus 9 over 2, or 5 minus 9 over 2. So 5 plus 9 is 14, divided by 2 is 7. 5 minus 9 is negative 4, divided by 2 is negative 2. Are those the same answers? Can you guys see that? No, not at all. So we're just simplifying. 25 plus 56 is 81. Square root of 81 is 9. And then split up the plus or minus into 2 parts so that we can see that we have 2 answers. There's the plus there, and the minus goes here. And these are the same solutions as before. 7 and negative 2. So we can use this quadratic formula to solve any quadratic equation. So let's write down, just that. Note. Oh, where is this? Let's put it up there. The quadratic formula. The quadratic formula gives us another method for solving quadratic equations. Gives us another method for solving quadratic equations. Alright? That's the use, that's the purpose of the quadratic formula. It's not that difficult. All you have to do is, let's make this orange, find your A, B's, and C's and plug into the formula and simplify. No real trouble.